people on YouTube as well too. So shout out to my people on YouTube, guys. A nice title. What would Dr. John, Dr. John Henrik Clarke say about FBA and Pan African conversation? I look forward to tonight's discussion. You guys know we're streaming it in the Twitter space, streaming it here on YouTube as well too. Andre, I see you came up. Did you want to say something real quick?
Are you allowing like an open panel after you get done doing like introductions and everything? Or is this gonna be
Oh no, this is gonna be this is an open discussion. Anybody who wants to speak tonight, speak on the topic, the conversation. There's really no panel. We're just gonna have a discussion. Normally we do I do the news related type topics, and I'll go ahead and read the articles and everybody will chime in. But tonight, whenever somebody wants to speak on the topic or whatever, feel free. If you got something you want to say right now, the space is still, people haven't really come in yet, but if you want to say something now, that's cool.
I don't have anything to say at the moment. I would love to hear the discussion, offer my perspective and viewpoint when everyone else offers theirs. So to make it fair and to be civil discussion, to disrupt anything or start anything now.
No, that's fine. That's cool. Whatever people want to talk about in the discussion, we're open. I hope to have people from the Pan-African community, people that's FBA, people that's from the diaspora, anybody that wants to speak and give their opinion on it. I want to know. What's up, Nightfall? I see you over there on YouTube. Shout out to you. I want to hear what people got to say. Nightfall, y'all keep us entertained over there on the YouTube Spirit too. Give us some good comments to read back to the space over here as well. I want to hear what people got to say as well. How do they feel? Dr. John Henrik Clarke would feel about today's conversation back and forth. That's really what I want to know. I know a lot of people have respect for the late great Dr. John Henrik Clarke. Whether they agree with his philosophies on certain things or not, I think the general consensus is most people. He was an elder, he was a scholar, a historian. He was somebody who cared about his community. His race as well too, and I believe most people, can find some pretty decent common ground. Can at least tell us how you feel about it, how you think he would feel about it. What would be the discourse if he was around today? We know that he transitioned. He's an elder as well too, but it's just interesting to hear. I love to hear different points of views, and I want to hear what people got to say about it. So it's nothing. I'm not a Pan-African myself. But if people want to be Pan-Africans and they feel like that suits them, that's their thing. I don't have an issue with it. At one time I did believe in the Pan-African ideology. I definitely believed in it at one time, but as I gotten older over the past couple of years, I've just pretty much focused, on trying to do things for my people that's right here. But I don't have any problem with somebody that says, they want to reach out to people in the diaspora and they want to link up with them and stuff like that. If that's what you want to do, man, fine, cool. And if that's a possibility that, something like that can advance and we can do something like that, I'm open for it. I want to hear what people got to say as well too. But shout out to you, Arthur. I see you up in here. And Arthur, I know you be putting your stuff in there for the for all of the different donations and stuff like that. If you guys want to put it in the purple pill down there, feel free to put it in there. If you want to come up and put it in the Jumbotron as well too, go ahead. I see my girl Shannon as well too. Nightfall, he's already left us a quick little comment. He says, personally, I believe the good doctor would be laughing his ass off, pretty much saying, I told you so. DJ said he's having some internet issues, so he'll be getting up in here soon. Professor, what's your personal opinion? What do you think that the good Dr. John Henrik Clarke would say about some of the back and forth, the conversations that definitely over the past 3-4 years on social media, and longer than that too, if you factor in Clubhouse and some of these other apps, what do you think that Dr. John Henrik Clarke, his opinion would be about the back and forth that we're having with some of these spaces and in general, just the ideology with a bunch of different sets and stuff like that? How do you think he would feel if he was around today? And I mean, because we know that he was a Pan-African, but he also discussed, even at times, he discussed the bickering between, Black people in the Caribbean and Black people in America too. So How do you think Dr. John Henry Clarke will feel? Shout out to Rerod down there, and Original as well too. So Original, you get a chance, you Ray, y'all come on up here. I want to hear what you guys got to say as well too. You there, Professor?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, there, Newstoter. John Henry Clarke, y'all. Let's discuss him for a moment, because we, like Toto just said, we know he was big into teaching African history. Pan-African is what he really was. And if he was here today, I believe that would be his stance still, with us trying to be part of the Pan-Africanist movement. He would try to bridge that gap where we would still be trying to be all up communicating and in this movement with the Pan-Africans, and even maybe discussing the fact that we should even go back to Africa, because that is supposed to be our so-called motherland, right? That's where I think he would still be at. I just don't see Professor Henry Clarke changing from that, okay? Changing from that stance. And he would still be on that tip of bridging the gap between the two, with the Caribbeans and Black Americans, where he said we need to come together in a global movement to suppress racism. It needs to be the two groups combined, or even African, Caribbean, everybody in the African diaspora. He would want all of us to come together in a global movement. But as you all know, we can't do it. Now, no matter what the good doctor would feel if he was still here, we all know it wouldn't work. It's two different things going on here. And that is, we tried a long time ago to make those moves, right, with other groups, and it never worked. The other part to this story, by the way, is the movement of reparations right now here is in reference to U.S. chattel slavery, of what was done to Black Americans here, which has nothing to do with the other members of the diaspora, or the other Black melanated people of the diaspora. They will have to start their own movement to go to the other countries that they need to fight against when it comes to reparations. So we can't join up with them. They can't join up with us. And they too busy trying to find ways to sabotage our movement over here. All due respect to Professor Henry Clarke, we would never be able to join in a global movement with the other members of the diaspora. We can't join the Caribbeans. We can't join the African people over there. As we see, just right here within our own spaces, when we hold these spaces, we see where there's a great division. We see where these folks get all up on these spaces talking about us like we're supposed to bow down to what they say about us, and that we should be listening to what they say about us. We don't care what the other groups of the diaspora think about us. This is all about us over here. This is our movement. And so, like I said, no disrespect to the professor, John Henry Clarke, but he would try to have us all together in a movement, in a global movement, but it would not work. We would never be able to make it work, just like you see it right now. We would never be able to make the connection with each other. And I'm talking about Black Americans versus the other melanated people of the African diaspora. I'm going to land right there.
All right. Thank you, Professor. Now, when you say never, never is a long, long time. Now, are you saying in our lifetimes you don't see any type of unison? Because when you say never.
No unison here, and look, here's why I said that, because I said it earlier. we tried to remember one of our top leaders tried to make that connection and it didn't work. That was, of course, Malcolm X, right? All of our leaders have tried to make that global connection, right? And it just didn't work because those other groups didn't really want to join in with us to fight the great fight against white supremacy. So, and even to this day, Total, we seen that they are trying to sabotage us now. And then look what's going on right now with the situation with Jordan Neely. We got these other black diaspora people commenting all about how he caused his own death. See how we'll never agree? Now, black Americans, we feel that Jordan Neely was murdered. And he was a brother that needed help and he needed sympathy. He needed care. He needed somebody to take him and help him, not do something to harm him or kill him. But what do these other people say that's supposed to be looking like us? They say it's his fault. That he caused his own problem. And he even using white supremacy talking point that he was on drugs. See, they join right in with the white people. But these are people that look like us, right? So that don't you think they're supposed to be with us? They're supposed to be with us. They're supposed to be helping us, right? You know, we all black, dark-skinned people in America here, the ones that's over here. But guess what they do? They fight against us. So that's why I say that right there, Total, just look at that right there, just a recent case should tell you that we'll never be able to join in with them. And I'm going to land right there.
All right, appreciate that, Professor. I was interested to hear what the cat Andre had to say, but it looks like he left the space. I'm gonna get to you, Ray. I want to read a couple comments real quick. Let me read what Nightfall said on YouTube. He says the problem with Pan-Africans is that they are preaching a line of hope and nothing else, especially the lack of Pan support on the whole. Polo Style says it's a pipe dream. They are too tribal. Nightfall says, I just wish he had finished his book on the role of the bastard throughout history. Must be talking about a book that Dr. John Henrik Clarke had. Polo Style says, Black immigrants help push white supremacy. We need to delineate ASAP. Like I said, and hopefully we'll have a couple, we'll have some Pan-African folks come up in here, some people from the diaspora. Be very interesting to hear their point of view on this. Dr. John Henrik Clarke. I want to hear exactly how they feel and how they feel to Dr. Clarke. I want to hear what you guys got to say as well, too. So feel free. I want to hear what you guys think. If Dr. Clarke was alive, would Dr. Clarke perhaps be trying to mediate something kind of like how Farrakhan at times when you've had situations in the Black community, or if you had incidents arise, Farrakhan would sit there as a mediator. So do you think Dr. John Henrik Clarke would try to go ahead and intervene between the diaspora, so to speak, and some of the actual talking points? I want to hear what everybody has to say. Ray, what's going on with you tonight?
What's going on, news? What made you think of this topic for tonight, brother?
No, it just popped into my head. That was pretty much it.
Okay. So I guess I'm going to play both sides of the argument. So, because like you said, with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he looks at, what he's doing as his life's mission. So I'm assuming, Dr. Clarke on that aspect will try to do that same thing because, again, I don't know what he knows, obviously. I know a little bit about Pan-Africanism, and I know that, Dr. Clarke was influenced, I believe, by, Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. John, well, I don't know if he's a doctor, but John Jackson. I believe he was also influenced by Sheikh Anta Diop, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Marcus Garvey, Amos Wilson, etc. So that's the extent that I know about Pan-Africanism. So on that aspect, maybe, yes, he would still possibly be practicing Pan-Africanism because, again, I don't know what he knows. But on the flip side, I have to look at it this way too because I believe Dr. Dr. Clarke died in the late 90s or mid 90s, I want to say, something like that. You're talking about a man who was born like in the 1910s or 1920s, I believe, in like Alabama, Georgia area, right? So I speak for myself. I mean, I'm not even the same person I was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So on that aspect, maybe, he looked at Pan-Africanism and said maybe it's, something that couldn't work. Because again, as the more as we get older, the more we understand, the more things change. Possibly he could not have been Pan-Africanism. Who really knows? I mean, I don't really know what to say. But that's just my 2 cents on. I want to give you perspective on both ends.
All right, I appreciate that, Ray. And I know, and listen, I know it's hard to say exactly how Dr. John Henrik Clarke would feel. Here's the thing that Dr. Clarke was, as you say, Ray, he was a Pan-African, he was a historian, he was a teacher. He wanted to give you the history lesson, the history of Black people globally. Dr. Clarke did see Black people as being African, so that was his main thing. He would go ahead and he would say African. That even I don't think Dr. Clarke, from my understanding, I don't think he was a big proponent of the word Black. Like he felt like Black was just about your skin color, but it didn't tell your story as a people. Now we know in this day and age where you have a significant amount of Black people that's delineating as well too, that might be an issue right there. But I want to touch up on it because we see all the time, we see the back and forth between the different groups of people, be it a FBA or ADOS or Pan-Africans. We kind of see the back and forth and stuff. So I said, well, what if we take a historical figure, somebody who was well thought of on both sides, whether you agree with everything he says, I think most of us can find a common ground on the things that we do agree with. Like the man was a tremendous historian and educator and orator. So I think we can find common ground. If you say, what, I'm not a Pan-African, I don't subscribe to that, I think you still can say, what, but Dr. Clarke, historically, in terms of everything that he was able to recite and memorize and to put out there for us, he did us a great benefit, a great service. So in that aspect, I think that you can find some common ground with a lot of people. And like I said, with anything else, you're going to have disagreements. But I want to go ahead and just see what people thought. People that's in one camp or another camp, exactly how, if Dr. Clarke was here, how would he perceive this whole situation with the back and forth? Would he be able to go ahead and mediate as well too? Would people take his advice? Would people look at him as an elder? Because we look at him now once he's gone and everything else, and people still talk about him being an elder and this and that or whatever. But if he was around right now, and of course I know he'd be probably close to 100 years of age, but if he sat down and said, I'd like to have a conversation with you young people and talk to you about history and this and that and about our standing, because it would just be interesting to hear what he had to say about that. Original, what's going on with you? I'm gonna let you go ahead and get it. You got it.
Greetings, everyone. I would say I think Dr. Clarke he would understand, due to the fact now we must not forget that the Caribbeans and the Africans, they started this, okay, by holding those spaces on social media during COVID, and they had all this pejorative stuff to say about us. Now, Dr. Clarke, he did say that he talked about these mulattoes. And he said if he wrote a book about the mulattoes, he said they run them out of town. And so I think as we say, we have access to more information and we make better decisions. And so I know he was big on Kemet and all of that, because see, when you look at what's going on now, you look at what Akon did. Akon came in to our culture as an anchor baby, and then he made money off of us, and then he turned on us. Then he turned around and he wanted us to come to Africa and help him build. We're like, no, we're at home. And see, I know I'm not. Let's see, Dr. Clarke, I think he passed in 1998 or 98, 99, somewhere around in there. And and like how Dr. Claude Anderson came. I'm not sure if Dr. Clarke, he may have known about this or not. When Dr. Anderson started talking about black people in America not being immigrants. Now, I understand Dr. Clarke's position is that we're all just Africans and stuff, but I think he would really have to understand the fact that that has not worked well for us. And I think he would understand those of us that wanted to delineate, because you can't work with somebody that hates you. You can't work with somebody that want to that we're more than likely going to scam you, and because I think a lot of those scholars understand that Africans on the continent, they have a totally different mindset than we do. They worship and praise white people. Now, some of us kind of do that here too, but not to the extent that they do. And I don't think that there's any hope for the Africans on the continent because of how the majority of them, they praise white folks. But I think if we were to have a conversation with him, because his thing was Pan-Africanism or perish. And this person that I know who's a Pan-African, and I was telling him what happened to my cousin, how these Africans and Caribbean tried to get my cousin fired from his job, and the tables got turned on them because it was them causing the problem. And so, but I told this person, I said, well, look, I guess they're going to perish because we're going to do fine right here where we are. And see, the issue is that the majority of these Pan-Africans, they do not want to call out what these Pan-Africans have done to us. Some of them was at the reparation meetings saying that we didn't need reparation, and they're not a descendant of the people here. And a lot of those people, I think Dr. Clarke could have been, I think he could possibly be reasonable enough to understand that that's just not going to work. Now, there are some of them that may work with us, around the diaspora, but technically we don't know one another. So that'll be a difficult thing too, because remember now, they see Black America as being these people with a lot of money. I heard Dr. Randy Short say that that year return they had in Ghana, that was not about us. He said that was about bailing Ghana out. See, Ghana also, they have passed this, I guess you can call it an anti-gay bill, but the president hasn't signed it yet. He's terrified of signing it because he might get cut off from the West. And so, so it's stuff like that, but they want to say that they have all this autonomy and they've done this, they've done that. But you look at them, these people are basically white people in black skin. Look at how some of those judges over there in these African countries, they're wearing these blonde wigs on their head. That looked kind of silly to me. Why can't you wear your own hair, or why can't you make a wig with some black hair? So I don't think the two of us, like I said, but I think he would have to come to. I think he would come to the understanding that that Pan-Africanism is just not going to work. Because hell, look at it. Marcus Garvey had to come over here because he couldn't get anything popping in Jamaica. But yet Jamaicans would sit up there and go Garvey, Garvey, Garvey all day, and when you mention to them about how they did not support him, then they're ready to fight you. But you had the two factions of Jamaicans over there. They was being headed by two white guys, and they was willing to kill each other, following two stupid white guys. I think he would come to the conclusion that a lot of this stuff is just that it's just not going to work. And so I'm in agreement with a lot of what Professor said, but I would say that I think we would have to have a sit down with him, and because there is no way you can try to work with somebody that hates you, because when you start discussing real information, you don't know if they're going to go back and tell the enemy or not. So there's no trust there, and that's on them. And see, now you see Kenya, they want to do this thing called the Garden of Eden, trying to use religion to get us to come over there and spend money, but they're not thinking about us. And see, and that's the problem. See, and like I said, Newstoter, me, what's the brother named Unc Rock, and some more people, we was at this reparations summit here in Atlanta, over there at the Woodruff Library at Clarke, Atlanta, and it was put on by some black Muslims. Oh, but they was very hostile towards us because they felt like they have this perspective that that we are all just one big group of Africans. And this brother Uncle was making corrections on their audio system. Oh, they was very hostile toward him, and they didn't know what they was doing. And when then they tried to come back and apologize, but it's like these people don't want to understand. We are not this one big global group of African people. We have different cultures. We have different everything. Yes, our skin color look the same, and that sounds, I guess for lack of a better phrase, kind of Pollyanna, that we should all work together. But these people, they turn on each other more so than we do here. I mean, we call out our coons. They don't call out their coons. They don't let us know when people are coming over. They don't let us know that we need to look out for such and such. They don't do that. So I would say that we would have a long conversation with Dr. Clarke and say, listen, this is not working well. And remember what they did to Malcolm X. They told him they got their own problems, but yet they perceive us as having money, or they come here and say, you don't know how to take advantage of opportunities, and you do. And see, they're not wanting to understand that the enemy is manipulating them. We understand that. They don't, for the most part. So I'll land with that because I just don't see. Yes, I came out of the Pan-African movement, but you won't see me supporting that today. No, because you got to show me that you are going to do right by me. And other than that, we just don't have anything in common. And I'll land.
All right, appreciate that. Let me read real quick. I'm gonna read a couple comments. Let me go to super chat and thank you, Butterworth. It says, if Dr. Clarke lived to see Africans online spreading hate about Black Americans, he logically support delineation. Shabazz says he's our elder and icon, not anyone else. The diaspora has demonstrated that they don't respect our elders, scholars, or icons. Let me read what the Colored Negro Black American News Network says. If it's any indication, Sarah Sutanseti, who studied under Dr. Ben, who is a fellow Pan-African scholar, did a live yesterday eviscerating the immigrant tether community unheard of. So these are the comments that we're getting so far on YouTube, guys. Appreciate your comments. Definitely keep them coming. I see we got Mark Carter getting ready to come up here. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic. You got it.
What's going on, news? So you kind of touched on something I was going to say because it's 2024. We live in an age where I can, instant message someone on the other side of the world and they see it instantly. But for whatever reason, we just cannot seem to be able to come together with, our, quote unquote brothers and sisters on the other side of the world. So I think Dr. Clarke, if he was here, he would basically probably still lean towards Pan-Africanism, but obviously he would hear, what's going on with the whole FBA movement, and more than likely it would be more of a balanced approach. I think that's fair, because he probably would acknowledge, the specific historical and cultural experiences of Black people, while still probably being able to push his Pan-Africanism. And I'm gonna leave y'all with this quote so Brother Mark Carter can come up. Why is it that, in my opinion, and honestly, I agree with Tariq Nasheed on this, it seems like Pan-Africanism is only pushed on our side of the argument. Like it's just the truth. It seems like we're just pushing it, and then once they come over here, and I'm not saying it's all, but then we have people that, like Newstoter said earlier, like Akon, once they get over here and they're good, they start talking crazy about us.
Actually, that was I think that was Professor that said Akon coming over here talking. It was either.
Oh no, that was me.
Oh, that was original. Okay.
I apologize. And before I forget to Dr. Clarke died in, I just looked it up. It was July, I believe.
What, 98?
I believe.
He died in 95. I thought he died in like 98. Okay, 95.
It was 98. My favorite quote of his is that quote that goes, "It's something to the effect of only debate my equals, all others I teach." So he was a brilliant brother, so I don't want to take anything away from him.
All right, appreciate that. Yeah, the man was really intelligent. I mean, he was educated and self-educated as well too. So you have to give Dr. Clarke his credit on that. What's up, Mark? I see you up here. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Let me get straight to the point. I'm in the headquarters for Cobra, and let me give it to y'all as clear as
you say you're in the headquarters of the where, Mark?
In Cobra.
Oh, okay.
And I'm telling y'all, it's nothing but poverty now. It's nothing but non-profit hustlers, highfalutin hustlers in this city. They're not even paying the city that they're in. So we don't care nothing about no paying Africans. Okay? I'm telling you emphatically, Institute of
Black World.
Institute of Black World with Ron Daniels. This dude, 80-some years old. He come from Jesse Jackson and the rest of that crowd. Narc and Cobra did nothing but a bunch of old dashiki wearing, stinking incense burning, libation niggas. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling y'all, they don't do nothing. Dr. Conrad Worrell, before he died, he was part of the Black, what's called African American Family Commission, for example. Him, Leonard Muhammad, Dr. Carl Bell, look these names up. These are nothing but hustlers. They were nothing but hustlers, get money from the governor to pimp the people. When it came to people in public housing, let me sum it up. They ain't never been paying us. We've never been paying these cities where our people are. So we don't want to hear about no paying Africans.
Hey, Mark, real quick. What about because Dr. Clarke? Now he wasn't a wealthy man or a rich man himself, though.
I'm speaking of the ones that we knew in our lifetime. We didn't know him. Okay, there's no disrespect for him because I don't know nothing about him. I'm talking about the ones that I know about that are still here. Winbush them and all of them. They're nothing but hustlers. Candace Willis. These people are the ones who are undermining reparations. They took $3 million from the MacArthur Foundation, a very harmful and evil organization, to undermine reparations. Look it up. You can look this up, that they gave them $3 million, and it was for non-lobbying activities around reparations. The MacArthur Foundation is known for creating funding problems and then so-called funding solutions. And so for them to take money from this organization that was ran by Julia Stash at the time, when they gave them the money. Julia Stash was Mayor Daley's chief of staff that did everything in her power to destroy black people in Chicago. So when I see them taking money from organizations like MacArthur Foundation, it would be no different than me finding out that Black Lives Matter is taking money from George Soros. Man, we don't want to hear nothing about that dashiki wearing niggas. We're sick of hearing that. Tell them to start paying these cities that we live in. Don't tell me about no Africa. You're not telling me about Detroit and Chicago and Philly and all these places where unemployment, poverty, crime, everything is at an all-time high. We don't want to hear that. And not just them, but all these national organizations. Do y'all know most national organizations are headquartered in Chicago? Do y'all have a clue? Do y'all know that? Operation Push is headquartered here. The AKAs are headquartered here. The Nation of Islam is headquartered here. The Moorish Americans, the Pan-African, all that stuff is headquartered right here. and we still have the highest unemployment, poverty, and crime. Why? Because members of all those organizations work with the establishment oppressing our people. Now bring all of them in the room, and I'll show y'all how talking that talk. They don't build nothing. All they do is talk. They work with the administration. That's why the other cities are all messed up. This is where they come, y'all leadership of y'all cities. They come here and have meetings with all these do nothing, good talking black folks, and then they go back to y'all cities and mess over y'all. Look up in 2001 when they held the conference with IBW 21 with Ron Daniels and all those nonprofit hustlers in 2001 in Atlanta, Georgia. You know what it was about? Going back to our cities and pimping the people. You must separate from these people. They've been working with these Zionist Jews and all of them against you. So I don't care if they got a vote. They got the sheet on the sheet on. If they got that bucket on their head, all of them, they all work together with them Zionist Jews with this liberalism. That's why I'm glad Trump's sending that Klan member up here. I'm glad he's sending them up here to dismantle this immigration and everything. Y'all about to see who they really are after January 20th. Because they're going to call on y'all to come stand with them as if they've been really on some black stuff. They've never done anything but pimp our people. And now that we're older, we don't want to hear what they have to say. We don't care who you are. But Dr. Claude Anderson used to come here and teach us. Do y'all know how mad these people would be when he was here? They wouldn't even come to the events. They hated him. Well, he's still alive. So they still hate him. Because he was coming here educating us. He didn't come from no nationalist perspective. He didn't come from no religious angle. The man was just a pure educator, giving you real information. They hated him, but we protected him and others that they didn't like. But they would come here. We don't want to hear what none of them have to say if they can't show us where they're going to build and help lower unemployment, poverty, and crime. They were part of the school system failing our children. I'm talking about members of their organization work for the school system.
Now, are you talking about specifically Pan-Africans, or are you talking about everybody?
All of them, even members of the Nation of Islam, members of their organizations work for this oppressive city of Chicago government, where the Irish mob and the Jewish mob partner with the black racist mob called D9 and Mason Stars. They all work together. Nothing happened to us in this city without them working together. Absolutely nothing. For the 76 years that our people have been both Democrats, nothing happened without them. The murder, the mayhem, they helped starve our people to savage. And then stood with that racist Irish mob boss and called for us to be mass incarcerated back in the 90s. They stood back with his plan for transformation to knock public housing down and make women and children homeless. NAFTA. They've been up with it all the time. Bobby Rush, the fake Panther, all of them. They all here. Do a lab rat study on Chicago so you'll understand what's happening in all other cities when it comes to these Pan-Africans. These people work with government. Simple solution, get away from them. Go against anything that they're doing. Hey, we have no white racist Republicans in power in Chicago, y'all. These are all Democrats. The entire city council, all Democrats.
So, Mark, and you did make a point, and you saying in your lifetime that pretty much all of the Pan-Africans you came across pretty much are no good. And when I did mention Dr. Clarke, you was saying that, you know, he wasn't part of our lifetime, even though he did technically die in the 90s. I get what you're saying, because I didn't hear about Dr. Clarke until I was a grown man, like, I didn't know about Dr. Clarke until much, much later in life, and he had been long past. Do you know anything about Dr. Clarke? Have you heard anything about Dr. Clarke before?
No, I heard a couple of remarks about him. I'm talking about the ones who were directly involved with government, who could have made an impact. Look, Conrad World, he couldn't have died fast enough for me. I don't lose a wink of sleep with hearing that he died. Go look him up. That's the one to look up. Him and that old pedophile, when they got in Northeastern Center for Inner City Studies, got a totem pole of him on there. Even number of damn pedophile. I can't think of his name, but they got that thing of him in there. These guys, man, they were working with daily, man, the father and son, destroying our people. That's why we're rebelling against them. Now that we're older, man, we don't care about you being 70, 80 years old. You weren't 70 and 80 years old when you started being evil, working with them Zionist Jews. So don't try to play old now. We want to hear that old stuff. And I'm talking about the male and female. That's the African Fest. Man, we don't want to. Don't have no African Fest. We don't want to hit more. We don't care nothing about that. But all that stuff made in China, you tricking our people, selling it to them. We don't want to hit nothing that they have to say.
All right, Mark. That's Mark Carter, y'all, from Chicago. So Mark gave his opinion about Pan-African. Even though, like he said, he didn't really he heard a few things about Dr. Clarke. I guess Mark was saying the Pan-Africans that he's come across in his lifetime, he has a big distrust for, which is cool. That's that's Mark giving his opinion. I want to get everybody who wants to come on up here and speak as well too.
Let me ask one question.
Go ahead.
Can anybody show us where Africans and these Black American Pan-Africans are paying these people in these cities while people are suffering? Because here in Chicago, Africans don't live with us. They live with Jews here on the north side of Chicago, and they don't fraternize. They don't come in and around us, period. The only time we ever see them is when they have those fake African festivals, and that everyday people don't go to that. Those are all your poverty pimps, bro. Your highfalutin, grant hustling. Most of them went to college to be grant hustlers. That's what they all do. Start nonprofits, and they need you to stay poor in order for them to get another grant the following year, or they get some government job working for the city or the state, and they've been doing this for 40, 50 years. But can anybody show us what city that they paying Black Americans? It don't exist. Period.
I'm gonna be honest, Mark. Here in Tallahassee, I've only known a couple Africans personally. It's not a whole. We don't have a whole bunch of Africans here, so we have some Caribbeans and stuff like that. Being up in North Florida, we're not hit with it the way Central and South Florida, especially South Florida, is. But I haven't honestly been around a whole bunch of Africans up here. I've known a couple of them.
I'm not separating. They're one and the same to me. Caribbeans, Africans. It's even worse in Florida. Where they've been with all those South American different groups. They all got together and killed our people, ran them out of different cities like they did in Cali and New York. So I don't separate them. So African or Caribbean or Mexican or Jew, they all the same to me. What's the difference? They all come here to undermine us.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. I see original shout out to Dana. I see Dana up in the space as well, too. What's up, Rerod? What's up, Andre? What's up, 40? What's up with all you guys? You guys see the conversation tonight. Mark is kind of digging into it right now. I love to hear what some other people got to say as well, too. What's up, Twiz? I see you down there as well, too. We're talking about if Dr. John Henrik Clarke, what would he say about the FBA Pan-African Convo? So, if you guys come on up here, you can let us share your thoughts on what you think his conversation would be if he was around today, and seeing, the back and forth that we're having, not only online, because I know a lot of people say it's online, but it's also out there in the real world as well, too. But feel free to come on up here. I want to hear what you guys got to say. Hopefully we can get a couple of our people that's down in the listener section to come on up here and share their thoughts about it if Dr. Clarke was around. Or you could talk about, as long as it's within the realm of the conversation we're talking about, even if some people may have not heard of Dr. John Henry Clarke before, which is okay. But, long as you stay within the realm of Pan-African, FBA, Black Americans, the diaspora, anything like that within that, we cool or whatever. So let me go ahead and get to Original. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Newstoter, I have to agree with Mark, because remember when I shared with you, this was around like 2013. Ron Daniel was on the talk show out of DC that No Taxation initially heard me on. And so he came on and I asked him, I said, how do you secure funding for your organization? See, this is like what Mark said, how they want to flip the script. He said, well, we don't take money from big tobacco. We don't take money from alcohol. I said, excuse me. I don't want to know who you don't take money from. I want to know, how do you secure funding for your organization? And he had to give it up. He said they get a grant from the the Open Society Foundation, which is owned and controlled by George Soros. And like Mark said, you got a lot of these Pan-African groups. Like you got this one, it's called Malcolm X Grassroots. Now we all know how Malcolm wanted to raise money. He didn't want to take money from white folks. But that Malcolm X group, they take money from white folks. Now, I put it's an article that I found some years ago. It's an article where when Dr. King went to Chicago, how the NAACP, and I'm sure there was some other group piloting with them, how they hated Dr. King. They did not, because they was taking money from these white folks. But NAACP it's not a black organization anyway, But how they and that article is in the Purple Pill. Anybody want to see it? But this is who these people are. They're not about trying to bring us some kind of liberation, because why? That puts them out of a job, and all they care about is bringing money to their household. They don't give a damn about anybody else. They just want to make sure that that their family is good. Because there is no way that we should be in this position. Because I'm going to tell you, Newstoter, I was born in 1960. Now, I can remember hearing some of these people talk. They was talking to these white folks saying, well, you don't want to continue to bring up all that black stuff. You want to be more inclusive. And they start really heavily using that term minority. And that's why people think that they should be included in anything that we get. And they're not part of our lineage. But yeah, these people, but me personally, I think Dr. Clarke, he might be willing to listen, because, like I said, these immigrants, they started this whole situation. Everybody knows it. They started this. And they don't have that gift of clap back the way that we do. And then when our people clap back, then they started calling us divisive and xenophobic. No, it's them. So I just want to share that. But everybody look in the Purple Pill if you want to see the article how Dr. King came under attack in Chicago by the non-black organization NAACP. And I land.
Appreciate that, Original. Let me go ahead and get to Twizzle. Twizzle, what's going on with you tonight?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Taco Tuesday to the ones who eat tacos and to the ones who drink tequila. What's up, everybody?
What's up now?
Yeah, shout out to you, man. Shout out to the co-host, and shout out to the great elder, the great ancestor, the master teacher, Dr. John Henrik Clarke. Everybody else I teach, and I only argue with my equals. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like he'll probably be rolling in his grave right now, and he wouldn't be rolling in his grave at us. He'd be rolling over in his grave at the Pan-Africans, because he is one of their greatest fighters, one of their greatest cheerleaders, as well as he brought us out the dark. He brought them out the dark as well. And as a man, as he said, he's been to Africa over so many times. He spent 50 years of his career over there. So he has a great clue and a great identity. So I know he will be turning over in his grave, listening to how these panties and how these tellers be talking. You know what I'm saying? At one point in time, I used to be pro-Africa, but then once I had an OG elder. He went to South Africa in 2009. And once he told me, he said how many shots he had to take just to get there. He said he wasn't going to go, but the wife wanted to go so bad. That's where he went. And he was telling me they went to some spot called Soweto. They pronounce it like, so where are we to? And he said those people over there were so jealous of the Black Americans, you know. They said that they were so jealous of us, thinking that we are not taking advantage of the opportunity that we have being next to white people. You know what I'm saying? And that's all he kept telling me. And then he rooted that in me. Throughout my course and throughout my educational awakening experiences, I've been seeing this. And Tariq really put it to light. And when I went in the hospital at 21, I saw it firsthand. Damn near the whole hospital was Nigerian. And they hated the Black Americans in there. And you talk about evidence before your face. Experience is your best teacher. I lived it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Dr. John Henrik Clarke will be turning over in his grave right now at the panties, for the simple fact they lost clue on who they are. And they get so caught up on this title bullshit to where they lost the whole purpose. They lose the whole purpose of the fight. You know, it's like, here, we about to get into a fight, but then motherfuckers want to start arguing.
Hey, language.
Excuse me. You know, they going to argue who going to fight first, or who going to throw the first punch, or who going to take the first fight. That ain't what you know. We're supposed to be on code, and everybody supposed to know their job. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, I just want to say that the great ancestor, he probably rolling over his graves, and he probably ready to put a foot on the panties butt. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to my Black people, and shout out to the room, and hey, I like my plane.
All right. Thank you, Twizza. Everybody is speaking tonight. What language, everybody. Everybody watch your language. Let me go ahead and get.
I know there's people.
Who's that speaking? Who's?
I don't have the functionality in my. For whatever reason, there's no function on this.
Wait a minute. Who's speaking?
It's law-abiding citizen. I apologize.
Okay, you say that you can't raise your hand. You said.
Yeah, there's no icon.
Okay, well, go ahead, law-abiding citizen. Then I'll get to Mark and Ray. Go ahead. Can you hear me, law-abiding citizen?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll get to the next speakers. Go ahead.
Why don't you just let me go after Ray, and then since they got their hands raised, I'll go after them. Just remember to cue me.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go since you're a new speaker, and Mark and Ray spoke and spoke a couple times. I know Ray spoke a couple times. Mark, go ahead. We got you.
Okay, I appreciate that. So I just wanted to kind of say is, this whole scenario with all the people that we have in this thing called the diaspora wars, and I have a great deal of respect for Dr. Clarke, as well as Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, and many of the intellects that came out of that generation when we were still under segregation. I personally feel that integration was harmful for us because it gave our open enemy access to our children in their formative years. And so, but I'll just say this: generalizing any group of people is never right, and because it always diminishes your argument. So you can't just point fingers at this group and say this, and at this group and say that, because none of them are monolith, and neither are we. So the thing is we have to. I think that we need to collectively, as a people, get our mind up and understand understand the fight. Because when you look at these immigrants, right, that come in, because I think it's actually absolutely fruitless to fight immigrants that's coming, Black immigrants coming to America, rather than our adversary, the ones that's creating the policies and how we deal. But it's fruitless to fight them because you got to understand, why do they think what they think? It ain't because we controlling the media that they consume. We don't control the State Department that they got to go to in order to win the quote unquote lottery. And so they pay a bunch of money to get in this lottery. And if they don't make the lottery to come to America, they don't get their money back. And so when these people come to America, they are very beholden and very grateful to the government that allowed them to come, which is not us. We're not the ones that's writing the policy, And so yeah. And we're not the one, they're not consuming, so the media that they're consuming about America and their country is not written by our people. The State Department is who's talking to them about us in America. And so yet and still we want to sit here and get mad at them, mad at that symptom, right? But rather than getting, focusing our energies on getting mad at the root. And the root of that symptom has come back to the same people that oppressed our ancestors, and which is the same people oppressing us today through policy. If anything, what we need to do, ignore them and focus on getting ourselves to good. Focus on how we treat our next FBA, ADOS, whatever you want to call it, black brother, sister around us. Focus on pouring ourselves into ourselves, our resources into ourselves, and developing our own institutions. And I want to say something, and I will shut up after this. Talking about these institutions, we shouldn't trust any institution, no matter what label is on it, that's national. Because if we do, what that means is we don't understand the game, and we don't understand how powerful the government is at picking or choosing winners and losers. Nothing is going to get to that national level that's not going to be co-opted or infiltrated by them. And they're like, just look around, back in the 60s and 70s. And, anything that threatens their hegemony, their power, they infiltrate and they assassinate, and all that kind of stuff. That's been a modus operandi, since the dawn of the the COINTELPRO, and so the government hasn't apologized for COINTELPRO because the FBI headquarters in Washington D.C. is still named after his father, Mr. J. Edgar Hoover. They didn't remove his name, they didn't take him down the chain, no. Once they got found out in the 80s, it just changed to something else, and we even tried to bring it back with that black identity extremist thing. So we have some very real, very capable adversaries in our own government that we pay taxes to. And I think that we are wasting our time pointing fingers at one another, fighting against ADOS, FBA, Pan-Africanism. Now, these national groups, I agree with their brother as far as not trusting them, because I think they are co-opted. I think they do support government and are in bed with them and keeping the outcomes the same as they are for our communities. But I just don't support, making enemies of the other factions of ourselves, because we're already surrounded with enemies. I think we work with the people that we can, and we focus on the things that we believe in, and those things that we make successful. That'll be the clarion call, if you will, to gather other people to what it is that we believe. But what we need is focus on small successes and make those small successes big ones, and that'll draw other people to us, whatever it is that we do.
All right.
I'll land my plane there.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to get to Mark, but real quick before I get to Mark, for those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. We also have the PayPal and Venmo up in the Jumbotron as well, too. Same for my people on YouTube, guys. $Newstoter, $Newstoter. The PayPal and Venmo is in the description as well, too. And the actual customer portal link, we're working on that right now as well, too. So we was having some technical issues, so we'll go ahead and get that back straight. But for now, you guys, for those that can support us on Cash App, whether it's $1 or $2, it's greatly appreciated, and it will be put to use. Let me go ahead and get to Mark. Mark, go ahead and unmute your mic.
So if I can just have a little brief conversation with law-abiding citizens, right? And I want to start it by saying we are talking about all of them. We don't care if they're from Africa. We don't care about the Jews that brought them here. See, didn't no white people bring these immigrants here. No, it was Jews that brought these immigrants here all the way back to the Irish and Italians. There's a specific group. When the Ku Klux Klan ain't bringing no Africans here. Them Ku Klux Klan crackers, they ain't bringing no Africans here. No, these are Zionist Jews. When you go back to look in the history, it's always been them who were bringing these other groups here to undermine us, bro. So all this saying that we shouldn't waste our time. No, we talking about home. They all are one and the same. They all operate as one, brother. Don't separate them. You do yourself a disservice. You do your family, your children's future a disservice by separating them. An African here is just as harmful as a Mexican. And I can show you documents. All our show you by every ethnic group, from the Asians to Indians, to those Arab Muslims, to Africans, and show you the names of their organizations, where they all came to the table under the Zionist Jew Rahm Emanuel, who's Barack Obama's chief of staff back in 2011. Don't separate them, bro. They're not just some small group. They're a group added with another group, added with another group, and they make up a whole. And they agreed that they would operate as a united front under immigration. And the Zionist Jew that brought them here is just as immigrant as they are. And I say immigrant, I'm saying to you, they are immigrant first. They're not American first, they are immigrant first. So I don't separate a Jew and an African and a Mexican and Indian or Asian. No, they all one and the same.
Okay. Law abiding, did you want to respond to what he just said, or are you good? Okay, I guess law abiding is okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll get to the speakers. Now, Mark, you keep talking about it was the Jews that brought the slaves here. Are you saying what regular white people didn't have a part in the actual slave trade?
I didn't say slavery, I said they brought immigrants here.
Oh, okay, immigrants.
The first group of immigrants who came here and burned our towns down and killed our people. They were brought here by those Zionist Jews. The same people who are bringing these groups in right now are the same ones that brought the Irish and Italians in. They're the same ones who orchestrated the Office of No Americans.
And you saying what? You saying white people as a whole didn't have anything to do with the immigration in this country?
I'm saying who brought Africans, all these other immigrants into this country. The specific group were Jews. The Ku Klux Klan ain't bringing no Africans and Mexicans into America. You have to know what group you're dealing with. When you're looking at construction, you're dealing with Italians.
That's what I'm talking about there. You're saying that okay, you're saying for all the immigrants that came in this country that it was actual Jews that brought them in, not just regular European white folks?
Go look it up. Go look up what I'm saying. They may have brought their people here, but when it came to these other immigrant groups, it was those Zionist Jews that brought those groups here. And they brought them here to undermine us. Make no mistake about it, who they are, how they operate.
Righty. Let me go ahead and get to Ray. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's going on, news? I'm gonna be real quick. So I believe it was Brother Twizzle. I don't know if he's still up in here, but he brought up xenophobia, which obviously I know what it is, but I wanted to look it up. It says that it's a fear or hatred of strangers or foreigners, or anything that is strange or foreign. So I don't see how it's possible for anybody on the African continent to call us xenophobic when we're the ones that went out of our way to make sure they were good over here. But where can anyone point where they have returned the favor back to us? I just wanted to add that tidbit in.
All right,
I'll say something for that real quick, Total.
Who's speaking? I can't see.
That's me, DJ.
Go ahead, DJ. I didn't know who was. Go ahead.
So, when you have them double words, right? Xeno and phobia, you have to actually get the definition of each one. You know what I'm saying? So we'll just focus on the phobia side. We ain't scared of nobody. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why y'all calling us xenophobic. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a natural fear against y'all. We're the ones that actually made it possible for y'all to even come with us. So it's like, why they even using that word? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
So xenophobic means xeno means stranger, and obviously phobia means fear. So stranger fear. So that's where it comes from. I think it's like a Greek word or Latin, or I forget exactly where. I looked it up a while ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to break down both. It's a double word. You know what I'm saying? Xeno and phobia. You know what I mean? Well, just to focus on the phobia side, we don't have a natural fear against y'all. Like, do y'all fear Africans or Caribbeans that come in y'all neighborhood? Like y'all, 9 times out of 10 we go support the Jamaican shop. Let me get a jerk with some rice. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, why they saying that about us, yo?
No, I agree with you, DJ. So I don't want you to think we're arguing. I absolutely agree with you. My whole thing is they're pointing the finger towards us saying we're xenophobic when in reality we need to be pointing the finger at them. Like, why don't we have
we're saying the same thing. Yeah, we're not arguing. We're saying the same thing. It's just that break the word down because it's really a double word. See, but just focus on the phobia side of it. We ain't scared of nobody, and we don't have a natural fear against you. Phobia means to be scared of or have fear of. Why would we be scared of y'all? You know what I'm saying? We're the ones. 1965 Immigration Act, Reform Act, Civil Rights. You know what I mean? Civil War added up. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got here by proxy of Black Americans fighting for our freedom. You can sit up here, figure out, 1804 all y'all want, but we was fighting, for that. You know what I'm saying? We set ourselves free, and now to take the conversation up, we still waiting on a slave rescue ship. Let's go.
All right. Let me go ahead and get to original. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, Newstoter, I want to say something about what Mark was saying. And I think Mark is right, because see, in that book, Souls of Black Folks, I read that book with a group of people years ago online. They had released the original printing of that book at Barnes and Noble. And so what happened is when the narrator was reading the book, he came to a section in the book where it talked about a group of people that were exploiting the situation down in the South during Reconstruction. And initially, Du Bois identified them as Jews. And so I think it was Spingard and somebody else, I think it was him and his brother, because they was working, they were the one that was funding the NAACP. And so they kept pressuring Du Bois until he finally did it. He changed the word Jew to immigrant, like Omar said, the immigrant. So the people who got the book after that change, they would think that it was some immigrants from whatever part of the world that came here and that was exploiting that situation. Like, see, what Mark is telling us about these people is true. That's how they are. They want to flip the script on you and make you think it's somebody else, but it's them. And I land.
All right. Thank you, guys. Make sure y'all share out the room tonight as well, too. Go ahead, Mark. You got it.
And to add to what brothers just said, that's how they operate. They're full of trickery and deceit. They're liars. That's why they hate it all over the globe. See, I live in an ex-Jewish neighborhood where Dr. King lived when he came to Chicago. I still live in that neighborhood. Dr. King came here and got the biggest wake-up call he ever could receive. He thought he was coming here to fight them bull commoners type practice. He didn't know that the very people who were funding the civil rights movement were the biggest enemy of black people, because he was a young man. He wasn't 39 years old when he got killed. He got in the movement at 25. He had never lived in the North. He didn't know how racist them Zionist Jews were, and they were partnered with them Mason pastors. This is where he left and started saying that I had integrated my people to a burning building. He did not know how racist those Zionist Jews were and still are to this day. We don't allow them to talk back to us. They don't talk to us like they do in New York and other places, bro. Because we make it clear to them first and foremost, our family members that we know in our lifetime freed you. Y'all didn't free us. Our family members freed y'all from Hitler. Now stay in your place and talk to us. We your savior. And so they stayed in distance, man. Our family members ran them out of this neighborhood to the north side because they were selling slum housing, renting slum housing to our family members. So the children rose up, who our uncles and great uncles rose up and ran them out of North London. These are things that nobody's discussing because you're told it. Bro, we don't acquiesce to them. We know who they are. We know the relationship. Somebody talked about the NAACP hating Dr. King. These Mason pastors were the number one haters of Dr. King. The Vice Lord Street Gang protected Dr. King because the pastors and all of them, they were trying to kill him when he came. J.H. Jackson, one of the chief leading Masons of Chicago, hated Dr. King so much that after Dr. King was killed and they named South Parkway after Dr. King, they named it King Drive. He moved his address to his door to the side of 31st Street. That's how much he hated Dr. King. Him and the rest of them picket ring wearing Masons. So, and y'all think it's by coincidence that these immigrants call you xenophobic, the gays call you homophobic, the Jews call you anti-Semitic? They all are part of the same thing. The feminists call you misogynist, all the way up to Kamala Harris running for office. It's the same clique. Didn't no white people bring these people to this country? No, Jews brought these people to this country.
But Mark, Jews are white.
No. Anglo-Saxons are white people. Jews are not white people. Irish are not white people.
Well, Irish are considered white people now.
Listen to me, bro. I'm trying to tell you something that you need to go do a little bit more homework on, so you will understand what you're dealing with. If they all white, then who was they fighting January 6th? Who was fighting January 6th if they all white?
Who was they fighting January 6th?
Yeah. What was January 6th about? The Germans and Jews going in again, right? The Anglos and the Jews going in again, right?
Okay, when they fought the Civil War, wasn't there a bunch of white people fighting each other?
I'm talking about January 6th, okay? I'm speaking of January 6th. I'm not going to even talk about that. I'm going to talk about some of your lifetime that you can identify, that you lived through. Them Germans and Jews going in again. Trump told you if they steal the election, they're going to flood the country with immigrants. It wasn't just about stealing the election. He told you that they were going to flood the country with immigrants. We keep on saying white people. And that's why the Jews sliding through and getting out on you. Because you keep calling them white. As a matter of fact, none of them call themselves white but the Anglo. The rest of them, they call. You can't call no Italian white in Chicago, bro. Call them white. They'll stop you in your tracks. It's like a Puerto Rican calling Puerto Rican Mexican. They'll set you straight. Hey, man, don't call me that. I'm not white. And they're not together. They're not together in this city. We live in segregated neighborhoods, man, because none of us like each other. They ain't only racist, then. We racist too.
So let me see if I can because I don't want to go too far too far from the topic, but in your estimation, what you're saying is that when we're talking about Pan-African, you're saying the Pan-Africans are no different than these other groups. You're saying pretty much.
Not at all. They work. They're on team. They're on the team with these Zionist Jews. Who you think funding them? Who you think funds Ron Daniels and all of them? They've been together. But you have to be in cities like Chicago. Chicago's not the only city, but Chicago gives you a real understanding of how things work. Think of your mind for political purposes. You know what I mean? From the angle of for political purposes. That we're the only black people in America. Don't acknowledge them other people. Those people sold us to slavery. They came here by way of our open enemies. And when you come to Chicago, you will not find a large group of Africans in the black community on the south or west side. Go to the north side, they live close to the people that brought them here. No sign as Jews, bro.
Alrighty, let me go ahead. And like I said, I want to get some other people up here to speak as well, too, guys. I see a lot of y'all just sitting back listening, but feel free to come on up here. DJ, I didn't ask you what was your I know you came up here and you spoke earlier, Professor. I think he dropped down, but I didn't get your opinion on how Dr. Clarke would have felt about the conversation going on today between so many different facets of black and melanated peoples, so to speak, the FBA, Pan-African, ADOS, the diaspora, whatever you want to say. Like, how do you think Dr. Clarke would have felt about this situation?
I think he would have felt the same way people like Professor Smalls, James Smalls, feel about it. He may be a Pan-African, but don't get it twisted. I'm American first, you know what I mean? My people's are from here too. You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, it's cool to be on the court and with the diaspora, I suppose. Try to be on the court, be one, but I ain't no African. I'm from Crenshaw Mafia, by way of North New Jersey. So it's like my elders, I know, and speaking to my great aunties and uncles, hey, grandmother or whoever, like, well, they was a slave in this country. That's what they tell me, bro. We ain't no African because they don't know nothing about that. Why we keep calling ourselves that? Once you start digging into your family history tree, yeah, you might find one or two people that might have came off a slave ship, but so far they ain't been the vast majority of us. So it's like, hey, the conversation needs to change. So, yeah, maybe there were some Africans, obviously, back then that were definitely being enslaved and coming off slave ships. And then we ain't talking no indentured service. But also we understand now too. You know what I mean? I ain't talking Dan Calloway type talk, but we understand we was also here too as well. So with that being said, Pan-Africanism ain't nothing but an accord of those that are melanated being on accord for whatever the reason against white supremacy. Because you know the drill. When they see us, all they see is some monkeys or some knackers. You know what I'm saying? Word up, thinking we gonna be some thugs. We them thugs. You know what I'm saying? That's all they see. You know what I mean? And they clutch their pearls this day because they think we gonna do the same thing they did to us for over 500 years ago. You know what I mean? But back to what Mark said, gotta agree wholeheartedly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, jokers like the Dr. Ray Winbushes, Ron Daniels, all these NAACP jokers. They all Boule gang, the people that's in office, a lot of them on the Tether gang, they've been undermining us for so long. It's crazy, B. It's crazy, B. This is why I be trying to explain to a lot of y'all that are down in the South. Y'all have no idea how it is up in the North with this, what we call race. You feel what I'm saying? It's so undercover up here. You don't think it's happening up here because everyone trying to be normal. Everything is so fake normalized, like you in the Matrix. But we all segregated up here. I've been living in a black city my whole life, bro. Yeah, I've lived in other places, don't get it twisted, but mainly I'm from Essex County. And I stay in a certain part of Essex County. I'll go up in the North Livingston area, Short Hills area, because that's the Crackerville up there. You know what I'm saying? And the police don't want us up there. You get locked up for any reason up there. Hey, we don't even go to the mall up there. You know what I'm saying? Thank God they got malls around the hood now. I ain't even got to go up there. You know what I mean? But it's whatever. But at the end of the day, with Dr. Clarke, what we think, just based off of what I'll be hearing from certain elders that's like this is in my own family that are like still indoctrinated with that whole Pan-Africanism talk. I think if you really set them down and say, hey, look, Uncle Henry, check this out. You got these tethers online calling us farm equipment, bro. Come on, big bro. They saying, oh, I don't eat slave food when they talking about soul food. I think he'll have a problem with that, yo. You know what I mean? And still to this day, as old as he lived to be, if he would have made it to where we at now and still had a clear mind, we still ain't got no slave rescue shit that popped up yet. We ain't got dual citizenship somewhere in Ghana, somewhere in Nigeria, somewhere in South Africa. These African countries ain't extending their arm and say, hey, bro, come on over. We got the land. Y'all got the know-how. Let's work it out. You know what I'm saying? Forget whatever happened. You know what I'm saying? No problem. We don't even get that. And then when you do go over there and try to be a citizen, you got to go through all this paperwork and questions and all this other stuff. Let's talk about how folks go over there and get killed. Because like you said, these folks is jealous, you know what I'm saying, of Black Americans, you know what I mean? And look, not even understanding that we had to work to get that money up to go over there and see y'all asses in that S-hole country Trump be talking about, all facts, you know what I'm saying? Because how is it 2024? Y'all still defecating in the street, big. So how did the white man give us everything when y'all can't even build your own commode over there? Y'all ain't even got the wherewithal to come together and say, you know something, let's clean up the neighborhood, big. All this trash laying around. Hey, vibe back. Let's go over to India. You fake melanated, you know what I'm saying? The Ganges River, I wouldn't even piss in there, bro. Might catch something done, you know what I'm saying? For real. So how you go come over here and wag your face at Don Lemonade? Shout out to Don Lemon, you know what I'm saying? Black American, who did stand up for us on live TV. And is told that tether vibe back. You don't get to tell Black people how their history should be told. You're not even Black. Told them straight like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's right. Don finally grabbed your cojones, no slow-mo. You know what I'm saying? And told the tether knack. You know what I'm saying? And you lost your job for it. You know what I mean? Keep it real. Let's talk about how these folks got Marcel up out of his teaching position. That wasn't all crackers that did that. That was some Black knackers. Black Americans that did that.
Hey, Big Hawk, I see you put your hand down. I'm gonna get to you next, so just stay up here.
Go ahead. I'm black until someone feel like they want to speak.
Yeah, Big Hawk had his hand up, so I didn't want him to go down. But Big Hawk, did you want to speak?
I just wanted to speak to the title, but I think Dr. Henrik Clarke was a smart man. I think, given the understanding that he had of Black people here and the continent, he would have for surely found a way in his mind that would remind him of a scenario or circumstance of which he studied what happened over there and the colonization from here to there, So I think he would have understood the concept, of what's happening. It was a quite different time, and the thought process was a little bit, different. And surely, sleep to many things on on a lot of different levels, but brought up to speed. We never seen nothing like this. Nothing unprecedented, more desperate, and more blatant than this. You've never seen that. Of course, they've always come. And, at least promised you something. Even if they wasn't going to give it to you. They lied 1,000 times. They ran out their goddamn lies so damn much. But he would have noticed, what was happening. And, but his love, like anything from a people from here to there, you know what I'm saying, would have made him think of how can we circumvent, this struggle or use this to our benefit, But he was a man that, from here to there, he loved his people, didn't matter, But at the same time, he understood some of the no good, low down, dirty shit that was happening there, and then the no good, low down, dirty shit that's happening.
Hey,
here.
try watch your language, Hawk.
Oh, shit! You can't say shit. My bad.
Yeah. Don't say shit. Go ahead.
Okay. Excuse me. But yeah, I just wanted to say I think he would understood. But more importantly, what John Henrik Clarke would have thought is more importantly what he laid down and what he discovered, you know, in his scholarship and what he taught. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good things that you can learn from John Henrik Clarke, but it's us now, you know, and what do we think? What do we know for sure, you know? And so that's what really counts. You know, if something happens, we gotta change by any means necessary. But it's just that it's a force that is no matter what side it's on, you got to fight. You know, you can't. There will be no. I forget who said it. I don't know if it was Nita Fuller. I forget who said it, but there will be no victory for those that are passive. You know what I'm saying? Or there will be no intelligence for those who sit idle. You know, nothing gained in that. So, you know, no matter what side it is, you gotta fight. You know, you gotta start having some agency. The agency has sold itself out. Where's our agency to handle these problems? Our agency is worried about goddamn immigrants. That's what our agency is. Ain't that about a bitch? Instead of worried about their own people, so they got two people worried about them. They so-called supposed to be for us. They got their own damn agency, and then our agency worried about everybody else. What the type of shit? What do we know? What do we think? Goddamn, we know this shit is a farce, but we know what's over.
Hey, bro, you gotta your language, man. You just going on like, go ahead and speak, man. But let's hold back on the language. Go ahead.
I apologize about that. I forgot. Sometimes I forget that. You know, I get so riled up. But my bad. I just wanted to land it with that. I didn't mean to come in statement. You know, curse you out. My bad. Yeah, I just wanted to land it.
All right, no problem. Appreciate you coming up, Hawk. I see my girl Trouble down there. I'm surprised, Trouble, you hadn't come up here tonight as well, too. I'm going to say this right here. I think with Dr. Clarke, and everybody's made some good points, I think Dr. Clarke, first and foremost, he would have tried to have some kind of mediation. I know everybody's saying that the stuff online and it's coming from this group or that group or whatever, but I think that first and foremost, you got somebody who considered himself to be a black man, and he considered all people around the world that look like him to be black as well, too. So I think first and foremost, Dr. Clarke would have tried to go ahead and set up some kind of mediation. If he saw things getting to the point that he said, you know, it's getting a little bit out of control, out of whack, he would have tried to mediate as best he could. We know that he was an elder. Even when I started seeing the old clips and videos of Dr. Clarke, you know, he was a man that was well up in his 70s and, you know, or maybe the late 60s or whatever. He was up there in his age or whatever. So I think he would have first and foremost tried to do some kind of mediation, tried to see if he could have got everybody on the same accord. But I think he would have realized, like we're realizing now, that, you know, you got so many different personalities and stuff that I think it just would have worn him down, and he would have probably eventually said, you know what, this is even too much for me, so let me go ahead and let you guys. But I think first and foremost, he would have been. We know Dr. Clarke considered himself, even though he was a black American, he considered himself African, and he would consider pretty much all of us, being American or not, he would consider us African as well too. And I think that would, you know, if you could drop him in the middle of 2024, you know, that would be problematic to a certain degree, because people say, well, you know, I'm not this, I'm not that, or whatever. So that would be an issue in itself. But I think that he would have tried to go ahead. He would have tried to get everybody, you know, to get on the same page, see if we can find some kind of common ground. And if you couldn't find common ground, he said, hey, you know what, if you dislike each other that much, you know, just go ahead and stay to your group, and you stay to your group or whatever. But I think just knowing what we know about Dr. Clarke, being a historian that he was, in terms of not only, I mean, the man was a historian in terms of world history, African history, U.S. history. I mean, he knew, I mean, you know, he was a master teacher. And I know that gets thrown around, you know, a little bit too loosely, but he was just that, a master teacher as well, too. So I think he would have tried to go ahead and try to play peacemaker as much as possible. I can remember Dr. Clarke saying, he had an issue with the Million Man March when Farrakhan did it. He seemed to have some issues with Farrakhan because I think it was a statement. He said that Farrakhan was saying something about the texture of your hair or something like that. And so I think he had an issue with Farrakhan to a certain degree. And he even questioned at times, I believe he questioned, what happened with the money at the Million Man March as well, too. So at the same time, I can kind of remember him saying a statement before, and I'm paraphrasing this, when he was saying that, that you had more, I guess you had more insurrections in the islands than you did here in the United States. And basically because of the geography, but he was saying that, you could take that one way or another. He said, because a lot of times he felt that the people in America and the people in the Caribbean got to fighting over who colonial master was better. So he kind of had that kind of mindset as well, too, that, hey, he was going to say, you know what? He looked at Black people throughout this world as being pretty much connected all in one. So I like I said, if you drop him in 2024 as compared to dropping him in 2000, I think things would be totally different. But at the same time, this was somebody who did dedicate their life. He didn't enrich himself. He didn't take money. He just had the basic necessities to live and stuff like that. So when people say, a lot of people get in these organizations and with these movements to enrich themselves and get rich or whatever, well, he was a man that didn't get rich from all of the stuff, all of the books he published and the tours and everything else he did or whatever. He was not a rich or wealthy man. He was for the most part just a simple man. I'm gonna go ahead and kick it to Viral, and I see Mark got their hand up as well too. Viral, go ahead and unmute your mic, and Mark, I got you next.
All right, can you hear me pretty good, Toda?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, thanks for letting me up to speak. As always, shout out to the room. Yeah, Dr. John Henrik Clarke, he's like one of my favorites. I try to listen to him every chance I get, and he called out a lot of that nonsense that goes on in the diaspora. He surely did. He was like the ultimate Pan-Africanist, because what he understood was if everyone in the diaspora got their stuff together, it could end all of these Western nations overnight. And that was his dream. But he did not play around when calling a lot of that nonsense out, especially when he got older. He called out Mugabe. He said a lot of things about Mugabe where he went wrong. Kwame Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela. He called out a lot of the nonsense that goes on in the Caribbean islands. Like, I was listening the other day, and he was saying how Marcus Garvey and all those other Black leaders that came out of the Caribbean, if they tried that today in the Caribbean, he said they'd kill him. He said they'd kill him. So he did not mince words when it came to calling out the nonsense. He said there's a lot of anti-Black blacks that are long overdue in their grave. I wouldn't suggest you to do it, but it's got to be some brothers somewhere with nothing to lose. So absolutely, he called a lot of that stuff out. And as far as the name, he did say that people should be labeled by, he said, Black tells you what you look like, but it doesn't tell you who you are. And it should, when you're choosing the name, it should be a place. And I understood what he was saying. This is our home. And I think he would agree with a lot of the things we're seeing now. African is, everyone has African DNA. We don't deny that. But this is our home. This is where we've been for centuries. So I think he would agree with that part. FBA. A lot of people get into this circular conversation about FBA, ADOS, or Black. And my thing is, man, you can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, but when it comes to getting this money from this government, we all need to be on the same page. And Black is not the way to move when we going for that bread. And I'll go ahead and land. Thanks for letting me speak. I always appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Vire, for coming up here. Let me go ahead and get
that phone clears up.
Let me go ahead and get back to Mark. Mark, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Look, let me say this, and this goes for any of us, Dr. Clarke. You know, what may have applied to yesterday doesn't mean that it could apply to today. It should apply to today, right? But with all due respect, you know, man, we respect those that come before us that literally love us. They may have seen things different back then. It may have been some type of Pan-Africanism that was going on back then. We don't know. We weren't back then. We weren't, around then. But now, no. I asked the question, and I can ask it again. What city can we name in this United States of America that these Africans, Caribbeans, and any of these people are aligned with us? Those cities don't exist. There is no Pan-Africanism. As a matter of fact, those people over in the countries they come from are not together.
Facts.
Okay? The Haitians and Dominicans are the same family members, literally across the street from one another.
No black, Bobby, no black.
Huh?
No black, Bobby, no black.
You know what I mean? And look, and waving those flags that the French gave them and let them divide them up. What's the difference between a Puerto Rican or a Dominican or Haitian? There ain't nothing different between them. But those flags that the French gave them. You know what I mean? So don't come over here telling us about no Pan-Africanism. And as a matter of fact, they literally don't come over here to talk about Pan-Africanism. The only somebody discussing Pan-Africanism are these hustlers. And the oldest one being Dr. Ron Daniels and I forgot the lady name. Don't be fooled by these people, y'all. These people have been undermining us. They've been working with the system against us. We don't want to hear that about no Pan-Africanism. Man, we're 50 years old now. When you deal with issues in this city, I'm telling you, none of these groups, starting with the Pan-Africanists, have ever came up against the system. Have ever come up against the system in this city when it comes to poverty, unemployment. Look, even when the police shoot and kill a kid, ain't no Pan-Africans come out and saying nothing. Bring them in here. If they're from this city talking that Pan-Africans talk, bring them in here and watch me rip them apart. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to come in the room once they hear the discussion, because they know we know who they are. But,
All right. Thank you, Mark. Miss T, I saw you was trying to come up here and I approved for you to come back up and I sent you an invite. So if you're trying to get up here and speak, definitely come on up here. I know you were trying to come up here and I don't know what happened, but yeah, if you get a chance, come on up here. We'll get you up in here. We ain't gonna be here too much longer. Like I say, for those that can support, let's see if we can at least get us $1 donation tonight, fam. At least $1 donation before the space is over with. It ain't got to be a lot, but see, for somebody who can donate $1 to the platform is greatly appreciated. $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American media curation platform. So for anybody who can donate $1 to the platform, it is greatly appreciated. See, my girl Trouble came up here, but she didn't raise her hand. I don't know if she wanted to speak or not, but if she do, I'll get her in there. Go ahead, Trouble. You got it.
Hey, Newstoter. Shout out to you, DJ, Sir Original, and all the speakers on the stage and the family in the house. Shout out to everybody. I kind of agree with what Mark was saying. I'm not 100% versed on Dr. John Henrik Clarke's stances about everything, so I don't presume to speak for him, but I would like to think that he was a brilliant man. And so you looking at everything that was going on back then and looking at everything that's going on now, I think a lot of the people that were revered from our past would have a change of heart on certain stances. The longer you live, you change. You're allowed to change your mind about certain stances that you have. We witnessed Martin have a certain change of thought process in mind when it came to certain things, the same as Malcolm as well. So I believe he would have been able to come into a different thought process about it in the same manner as far as everything that's going on. It also depends on how heavily he was on the internet, because a lot of these conversations are going on as far as FBA versus Pan-African is happening online and not necessarily on the streets. So that would have to be taken into consideration as well. It is my thought that a lot of the Pan-Africans of yesterday are not the same ones that are here today. A lot of them are, like the ones that are, when you talk about groups like NARC and Cobra, those are the old souls. They've been around for a long time. And Mark called them hustlers. And I was really, before he said it, I was thinking about that they kind of remind me of like the Negroes who went to be preachers in the pulpit. You got your authentic preachers, and then you got those hustlers out there who recognize the con game with the church, how to get money and how to drag the black community and feed off of our hope and faith and what have you. So it turned into a lot of connery and con game. I view Pan-Africanists the same way. I wonder if a lot of the ones today are part of our coon class of black Americans mixed with first, second, third generation immigrants, blacks from other nations, and they've all mixed in together. Because you would think that if you say that you are about a collective black unity between black Americans and the rest of the diaspora and melanated black people around the globe, that you would do more to bridge the gaps. I don't see Pan-Africanists really doing that, especially the ones that are online. The ones that are online are what I see from a lot of them is they're causing division. They're instigating a lot of the beefs that are online. So what really is your end goal? What is your end goal? What are you here for? What is your purpose? If your purpose was actual unity between black Americans and the global blacks, if you didn't have an agenda to just get paid like a lot of these preachers in the pulpit that just want to get paid, then you would be doing more work to bridge those gaps, and you don't. There's a lot of arguments that's online between black Americans and those from the diaspora, but when you hear the Pan-Africanist conversation about it, it's always a chastisement for black Americans as if they're blind, or Ray Charles, to what you see the immigrant blacks doing and saying towards us black Americans. No one sees that vitriol for some reason, but they see the black American response. So to me, if you were a true Pan-Africanist, to the original meaning of what it meant to be a Pan-Africanist, you would, instead of constantly chastising black America, you would try to understand where we're coming from. And then in your chastisement, you would chastise everybody maybe who is participating in it. But we're constantly seeing spaces being had with nothing but the chastisement of black America, as if we're the ones that's just sitting around making up stuff. Sorry, Toter. We're just making up stuff and throwing it out there like we haven't had certain experiences, or we're not witnessing or feeling certain things over a long period of time, because it didn't just start happening yesterday. So why aren't the Pan-Africanists creating buy-in to get everybody on the same page to whatever it is that they're trying to push? Because you're not trying to push anything that's beneficial for the global blacks. You, like the white man, have learned the grift, and you have learned that Black Americans bring in a certain amount of je ne sais quoi, certain thing that we have that you are able to capitalize and get paid off of. That's what I see from a lot of the Pan-Africanists online today. So I don't really know where Brother John Henrik Clarke would stand at today, but I would hope that he would be able to see, and like I think it was Viral said, maybe have some type of mediation between the groups, because it's to me it's really simple. The conversation could really be a whole lot simpler than what it has been. But when you have everybody pounding on one particular group for their response and not what they are responding to, there's never going to be unity in that way, shape, or form. So I don't know. I'll lay it right there because I got to get this food off the stove. But
what you cooking, Trouble?
I'm cooking some a little bit of tuna casserole, on the stove, but I got me some sweet potato pies in the oven, and I'm about to make a banana pudding just because I'm greedy and hungry.
Man, you cooking sweet potato pies and banana pudding? Okay.
Yeah, I had a sweet tooth and I didn't know what I wanted, so I decided that I would love them.
Pass the blunt, sister.
And I didn't get to have a whole sweet potato pie to myself for the holiday, so I'm getting ready to make up for that. I'm about to make about 4 of them. I'm guaranteed to at least get 2.
Bad girl life.
Hey, I said I was trying to gain weight.
Thank you, Miss Trouble. Let me give a shout out real quick to Miss Tiffany. Thank you, Tiffany, for your contribution on Cash App. It is appreciated. Let me go ahead and get to Viral. Anybody else that wants to speak as well? To Big Hawk, I saw you had your hand up, so I'll get back to you two as well. Go ahead, Viral.
Yeah, I want to chime in. You was talking about his problem with Farrakhan. He had quite a few issues with Farrakhan, but one of the things he had a problem with was Farrakhan said that the slave ships dropped the stronger slaves off in the Caribbean and the weaker slaves in the States. So he didn't take kindly to that statement. And I wanted to say this. He also said, now this was a couple of years before he died. He said Nigeria had become a nation of thieves. And we all know what Nigeria is known for today. And he said Ghana was a nation of Jesus freaks. So he didn't sugarcoat things when he saw nonsense going on. Yeah, when he saw nonsense going on, he called it out. So he was like the ultimate Pan-Africanist, but he called out the nonsense. And I believe if he were here today, with all these things that's going on, he would call it out. And I'm gonna say this coming from me, it could not be any Pan-Africanist until Africa has some kind of unity going on. We got all of these borders, and you need a passport to go in a different country in Africa. So until they do away with that, I know where it all comes from. It comes from the colonizers, but they have to recognize that and do away with that nonsense. And I'll close.
All right. Thank you, Viral. Let me go ahead and get to Big Hawk. Did you want to say something, or you were good?
Yeah, I was gonna say one last thing about Henrik Clarke. I know that he was he believed the way he believed, but at the same time, like what's his name said, he'll call certain things out or whatever, but I just can't help but think that it was a different time, it was a different era, it was a different mind state. But up until what we got now, of course, we'd have been able to he'd have been able to see the grift, you know what I'm saying, or the infiltration. And our problem is not the fact that, Pan-African ain't a thing that couldn't work in such a system, but it's the fact that we have the wrong characters and we have the wrong people heading something or leading something, and it just gets stuck where it's at, and it doesn't evolve, and then they become complacent in their ideology, and then they're thinking because they're selfish. They're not thinking about the whole for real. Nobody. I don't think that they had the heart of John Henrik Clarke. I mean, John, more than he was a teacher, he was a student. Lost his eyesight because, read so many damn books and analyzed so many damn things. So, one that truly, gave his devotion. We're missing that. We got a lot of surface level people who don't believe more than, who believe in something as like a religion rather than using their intelligence and their emotions for a better cause, And so, it always comes back around. We always reach across the river to our brothers and sisters, but in order to help them, we must help ourselves, we got to always be right, but we're always channeling that energy to show the world how great they can be. Of course, if we didn't do it here, and many of them have come here, and sometimes you may be thinking, hey, they might be Black American, even in history. Many have come here and used that which we had built while we've been complacent in our exploitation. And so it's high time for a person to evolve. It's not saying that, it's not something that could work, but, wrong place, wrong time, and wrong characters. You got to be right. You got to be, that's why I say, man, like a person like John Henrik Clarke, when that man died, a whole library, dies. What was left in that man, you know what I'm saying? If you sat there, you watch hours and hours, got many scholars, but, a library dies. And what are we doing on the surface with things? Ain't no depth, ain't no substance. So we got to do a little bit more soul searching and digging, but we can't help the world if we cannot help ourselves, if we cannot remain self-sufficient, you know what I'm saying? So our strength is seen, and it is heard, and it is felt, and it is, replicated, so we got to continue that. We cannot go silent into the night and die over or give away our ethnic cultural identity just because we got love in our heart. That's been a lot of the mistakes of the Native American, the Black American, you know what I'm saying? Always showing that love. But I wish we showed more love to each other and ourselves and be able to help the rest of the world. So, but I just wanted to say that I believe that he was a person that he could see that. So we need people with that wisdom and knowledge and more importantly, the heart, the heart is what counts, And so, I just wanted to end on that.
All right. No problem. Appreciate that, Hawk. Thank you. Zand, I know you were trying to get up here, but then I don't know if you dropped back down. I didn't know if you wanted to say something real quick.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, yeah. What would Dr. John Henrik Clarke say about the FBA Pan-African combo? I think he would love it, because when you come right down to it, Black Americans represent Pan-Africanism better than anybody else, because we represent a correct Pan-Africanism.
the main thing about Dr. John Henrik Clarke, and not just him, I'll speak of even Van Sertima, Ben Yakinen. These were guys who basically was showing us what real Pan-Africanism was, because real Pan-Africanism is going to weed out anybody who's a saboteur, a Sambo, who's going to try to disempower black people in general, but specifically black Americans. Because see, like when you look at the same thing that Dr. Tony Martin talked about, all of our great, warrior scholars, including Dr. Khalid Muhammad, all were on the same page when it came to black empowerment. So I think that when it comes to this conversation, see, we didn't care, black Americans didn't care whether a black person or melanated person was not from America, could not trace their lineage back to slavery in America. We was mainly focused upon, like I say, the saboteurs and the ones that are basically looking to disempower black Americans. So as far as Dr. John Henrik Clarke, from that continent, weed out the saboteurs. I mean,
all right. Thank you, Xander. Thank you. I was kind of caught in the matrix there. Okay. Well, we're going to get ready to go ahead and close this thing out for the night. DJ Original, you guys want to say something real quick? We'll be back tomorrow night as well, guys. If y'all want to say something real quick, give you about a minute. Oh, hold on. We got a speaker. Look like somebody's coming up here, so I'll give them a chance if they want to speak real quick, and then we'll go ahead and let you guys get ready to give a final.
I'll give my shot in real quick. Hey, get in the Jumbotron, get in the chat. There's some vital information I left for y'all down there. End of the business, y'all, before we close out. Get in the Jumbotron, get in the chat, get the information saved. There you go.
All right, Jake, I see you got your hand up, so go ahead and unmute your mic.
Peace to the room, peace to the host, co-hosts, all the family down there. Can't give a roll call, but shout out to y'all. What up? Yes, sir. Peace and blessings, brother. What would John Henrik Clarke say about FBA and Pan-African? I think what he would say about FBA is that it's a good thing that black people is coming together based on their lineage. And I think he would say likewise with the same with those who identify as what they got on paperwork as well. What he would say about Pan-Africanism is that we don't owe the world nothing but an ass whooping, because these people been coming to our country and not showing black Americans love. And we get it in workplaces, we get it economically, and when they open their business, we get it. Cool. Understand that these people practice tribalism, but over here in America, we always been one big nigga, and we understood us coming together. That's how we got things done. And these people don't understand that. These people is their own worst enemy in their own homeland. So it's a great thing that black people come together based on lineage. I don't care which one. It's the lineage. It's the umbilical cord. Whatever you want to call yourself. Just know that you come from black American stock. Or not even just black American stock. Let's make it greater. If you can trace your lineage back to 1870 or further back, and you melanated, you us. You've been through the same shit following there.
All right. Go ahead. I see there's another speaker up. I'll let you get in here real quick. 999.
So I got a question. I wanted to know, since the white Europeans saved you guys from the...
Okay. Don't come in here with a bunch of honky tonk nonsense, okay? We don't want...
My next space late night crackers gonna crack it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
don't come in here. Don't come in here with your honky tonk hogwash. Come in here and get on your knees, white boy, and act like you've been here before. So I'm gonna unmute the mic. You didn't save a damn thing from anything, okay? Because had it not been for us building up the wealth of this country and building up the whole entire Western Hemisphere, Western Europe would still be in the damn dark ages. So you're gonna come in here and show some respect, white boy.
Your nasty map mama should have swallowed you.
320.
What did you go? What would you say? 300 and what? What are you finna say? What are you finna lie about now?
Trying to get $3.20, $3.20 so you can buy some drugs, yo.
Let him get his mayonnaise off, man.
320,000 Europeans died to save you and free you. Your ancestors.
No. Going by what the 16th president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, said, had it not been for the black soldiers, black men coming in there, the North was going to lose, and this would be a Confederate nation. So you didn't save anything. And not only that, if you want to go back, and you want to really go back, you guys is over here dying of what's the damn disease that they had to come up with? Somebody, black people came up, smallpox. They had to go ahead and create the damn vaccine to save your life. So don't sit up here. But I tell you what, since you want some medical advice, this is what you should do. Go ahead and call the paramedics and see if they got a pump on hand so they can go ahead and pump your stomach full of the semen that you just swallowed last night. Okay. Now get your stupid ass off of my out of my damn space here with that cracker talk.
Cracker gonna crack us.
Get your dumb ass out of here.
They can worry about your birth rate. You can worry about black Americans. They got no steak and 50 eggs.
So no, you gonna come in here and try to. Can you hear me? Is that you, Carla?
I was just asking if the Civil War guy is still here.
Oh no, I went ahead. He was a troll. Had he came in here earlier, I would have entertained him a little bit more, whatever. But he came in here late at the end, so I just went ahead and just dropped him down or whatever. But had he come in here a little bit early, I would have entertained him. But I'm sorry. If I knew you were gonna come up here to get on him, I would have kept him up here for a little bit longer.
No, I just got in.
Okay. Well, no problem. Shout out. I see you up in here, Carla. So shout out to you and Jake coming in here. I see CC down there as well too. And shout out to you, Shabazz, for the PayPal as well too. So Shabazz, if anybody wants to speak real quick before we go ahead and close it out, let me know. Because I think DJ's got a late night space getting ready to pop off too. So that'll be part 2. So if anybody wants to speak real quick, if not, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna close this thing down for the night.
Get in the Jumbotron, get in the chat, y'all. There you go. Get that information. Retweet the space. Newstoter.
Yeah, part 2 is about to start up, guys. So we're gonna close this down for the night. We'll be back tomorrow. Peace. Thank you for everybody who came out. I see was that Professor getting ready to come up here? Yeah, Professor trying to come back up at the very last minute. Professor, we finna close this out, and DJ finna go ahead and start this. Yeah, DJ gonna start this space up. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna holler at you guys, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.